Today we're doing something a little different, maybe unique. We're diving into the curious case of August 7th.
August 7th, that sounds specific.
It does, right? It sounds arbitrary, but what's fascinating is that observations made on this one day, just across different years, they reveal this incredible progression, or sometimes, a real tension in how we relate to knowledge, to technology, and even like the essence of creativity itself. So where should we start? Maybe with the idea of, understanding itself. That seems pretty foundational.
Makes sense.
There's this note from way back, August 7th, 1997, and it poses this really profound question. It sort of suggests the spiritual is just whatever science hasn't explained yet. But then it asks, okay, if science can explain something, does that automatically strip away its spiritual side? Does it diminish it?
That's a classic philosophical nod, isn't it?
Yeah.
It never really goes away.
Feels like it.
Yeah, and the note goes on to muse about, well, if we could live entirely by science or, flip side, entirely by spiritual acceptance,
Yeah.
maybe we'd be like gods, omniscient.
Maybe. A nice thought.
But then it pulls back. It says, skepticism, doubt. That's just part of being an intelligent being.
Yeah.
And because of that inherent questioning, this debate between science and, let's call it God for shorthand, or spirituality,
Yeah.
it's just destined to persist.
So it's not really about finding the answer then. It's more like they're just different tools, different ways of looking.
Precisely. That's what the source suggests. Both science and spirituality are, in their own frameworks, equally true. The scientist is driven by the why, always digging, dissecting, looking for the mechanism.
Right.
Whereas the spiritualist often finds understanding more in acceptance. They don't necessarily need that detailed, empirical how it worked.
Two valid paths.
And it highlights these two very distinct approaches we have to just making sense of everything around us.
And, this tension, this idea of different ways of knowing, it's not just abstract philosophy, is it? We see it play out in how we learn things personally. Well, there's another August 7th note. This one, much more recent, 2022. It's about learning guitar. It talks about that shift, from just learning rote patterns, just memorizing shapes, to actually understanding the theory and the fingerboard.
Ah, okay. Moving from what to why again, in a way.
Exactly. And the interesting bit is the note says you then kind of forget the old way, the basic rote approach.
Right, because the deeper understanding replaces it. That makes sense.
Yeah, right.
And if you connect that to life, generally, it's a brilliant metaphor, isn't it? New experiences, deeper understandings, they often overwrite the old ones. Our first, maybe less sophisticated ways of doing things, they fade.
Yeah, they do.
But the note suggests that underlying framework, the way we learned, how we built that understanding, that often stays.
The process remains.
Yeah. We know the maps, all the theories and concepts we've learned, but maybe sometimes we need to relearn the territories, go back and re-engage with the direct experience itself. Remember the journey, not just look at the map.
I like that. Knowing the map, but relearning the territory. That's good. It's about adapting, but also remembering how we got there. And this evolution, this adapting, it mirrors these huge shifts in how we deal with content itself, doesn't it?
Absolutely. From how we understand to how we consume.
Yeah, let's talk about consumption, because we're often grappling now with physical objects versus digital ether. There's this prediction from August 7th, 2000. Seems almost quaint now.
What did it predict?
That people would get sick of downloading entertainment, that they'd end up with like 10,000 files on their hard drive they never even looked at.
Huh. Okay, I remember that feeling. The endless MP3s.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the prediction was they'd start craving live experiences instead, which, partly happened.
It did, yeah. But then technology adapted again.
Right. And that brings us to a counterpoint note from August 7th, 2025, projecting forward slightly. It says, okay, streaming solved the downloading and hoarding problem. You don't have 10,000 files anymore.
But there's always a but.
But it created this other issue, maybe even worse, just this overwhelming number of options, especially it notes for film and video.
Oh, definitely. The paradox of choice. Analysis paralysis. You spend more time scrolling than watching.
Totally. So we fixed one logjam and created another, maybe more insidious one. It makes you question, is infinite choice really the goal?
Or is there value in curation, maybe even limitation?
That's what the note hints at. It contrasts this digital overload with the idea of having, say, a small physical library of films. The thinking is you might actually value those more and watch them first because they're tangible, they're chosen.
Like browsing physical bookshelves versus scrolling Amazon. The physical limits actually make the choice manageable, maybe even more meaningful.
Yeah, exactly. And the source points to the other physical equivalents too, like actually going to a movie theater. It's an event.
Or going to a record store, buying an album, taking it home, putting it on, and just listening without 50 other tabs open.
That focused, intentional experience, it feels increasingly rare.
It does. The digital stream just sort of washes over you sometimes.
And this whole idea, this tension around physical versus digital, objects versus information, it goes beyond just entertainment, right? It touches on knowledge itself.
How do you mean?
Well, there are these observations from an Oak Park Library book fair. They raise the question, when people buy stacks of used books, are they knowledge hoarders, or are they genuinely trying to learn? Or maybe just pretending to be more knowledgeable than they are.
It's a bit cynical maybe, but it's a fair question. What is the motivation behind accumulating physical knowledge objects?
It reminds me of this anecdote mentioned about Paul McCartney. He apparently keeps journals full of thousands of song ideas. Idea hoarding, you could call it.
Okay.
But he says he still writes most songs spontaneously because the real source isn't the journal. It's this deeper creative wisdom he's already absorbed, his usual way of working.
So it's about internalizing the influence, not needing the physical prompt.
Kind of. Like the ideas in the journal are just backups, maybe?
Yeah.
The core creativity is already inside him.
That connects to another point in the notes about a shift, maybe accelerated by the 2020 lockdown, towards being almost anti-object.
Anti-object. How so?
The source mentioned someone donating their vinyl record collection. The realization was, once you've imbibed the influences, you don't necessarily need the totems anymore. The physical thing becomes less important than the internalized knowledge or feeling.
Okay, I can see that. You absorb the essence, so the object feels redundant.
Potentially. It points toward this idea that maybe hands-off interaction with the information without the object is becoming the norm, the way we read now, metaphorically speaking.
Even if, as the note admits, there's a like and hate relationship with that idea. We like the access, maybe hate the lack of physicality.
Precisely. And this leads to some really out there thinking about the future, like this concept of a reading room. Imagine like a cafe, but you'd use VR maybe, for these short, intense, 15-30-minute cinematic dives into books. You get the immersion, the core experience, without needing the physical book.
Wow. Okay. VR book cafes.
Yeah, and the idea is to create an encoding experience, to try and generate Madeline moments, like Proust's cookie triggering vivid memories.
So linking the book's essence to a specific, memorable sensory experience.
Exactly. Making the virtual interaction somehow more potent, more memorable, building this sort of virtual shared headspace library. Decentralized knowledge experiences.
That's a big leap from a dusty library fair, isn't it?
It is. But then you have this counterbalancing thought about the sheer weight of physical books, the cumulative interactive time.
Cumulative interactive time.
Yeah, like think about one book, maybe 3 years of writing and editing, then picture 10,000 books at that fair. That represents, as the note says, almost the history of humanity.
Oh, when you put it like that.
Suddenly, a book fair isn't just about buying old paperbacks. It's an exercise in contemplating the epical. The sheer scale of human thought, physically present.
That puts the VR cafe idea in a different light, doesn't it?
It really does. It brings us back to that core tension, summed up in another August 7th comment, this one from 2025 again. Perhaps we don't need objects at all, just the essence of them.
Just the essence. But what does that mean for actually creating things and for our ability to even pay attention?
Well, that's the next big area these notes tackle. Technology's influence on creation and attention.
Let's dive into that. There's a note from August 7th, 2018 that hits hard. It basically says, technology has made creating music too easy.
Too easy? How?
The argument is that because the tools are so accessible, there's just too much music being made, an absolute flood.
And paradoxically, less time to consume it because we're all busy making our own stuff or just overwhelmed.
Exactly. And social media gets singled out here, big time.
Oh, I bet.
It's called a major drag on attention.
Right.
And a terrible distribution platform.
Because it encourages mindless scrolling. Quick hits.
Yeah. That instant like on Instagram, for example, it rewards immediacy, superficiality. which, the note argues, really harms things like music, these strictly temporal art forms that need time to unfold.
Right. You can't get the depth of a song from a 3-second clip or a quick like. It devalues the time and craft involved.
And it's not just about the volume of music. It's about this erosion of maybe scarcity or perceived value. If anyone can make something easily and it's instantly available, does it feel less special?
That's a really critical point. And it connects to another worrying trend the notes mention, a decline in formal music study.
People learning from YouTube instead of teachers.
Pretty much. Relying on quick videos, asking questions on social media, which is fine up to a point. But it's contrasted with the value of good music education, having great mentors.
And the time thing comes back too, right? Time spent scrolling versus time spent actually practicing.
Exactly. Are they honing their craft or just chasing engagement online? It raises questions about the depth of learning in this instant access age.
Meta's AudioCraft gets a mention from August 7th, 2023, labeled AI Monday. And the description of the AI-generated music is, well, blunt. It calls it stupid stuff.
Ouch, but...
But interestingly, also interesting from a systems standpoint, because of the randomness, the unexpected combinations, the unique permutations it throws up.
Okay, so it's not good music in a human sense, but it's generating novel patterns, raw material.
That seems to be the idea. The suggested use is almost like background noise, putting the AI music on low and just grabbing interesting things floating through, treating them as potential viable ideas to develop manually.
So using AI as a sort of random idea generator, not as a composer itself.
Kind of, because the challenge is, while AI can generate stuff, art, music, text, a lot of it is not usable, not as a finished piece.
Right, because human composition, the note says, is about taking that randomness and shaping it, making it more solid, crafting it into a logical temporal entity, something with structure, intent, feeling.
And the question is the syntax AI generates the way it puts things together really what we want? Does it resonate?
Often. Not yet, anyway.
Okay.
It can sound technically correct, but lack soul, perhaps.
Which leads to another really powerful comment on AI from that August 7th, 2025 projection again. It says, AI output seldom is what I want, but what I have capitulated to.
Capitulated to.
Yeah, and capitulation is dangerous. It draws this analogy. If we stop creating things manually because other people can cook better than I can, or because the AI can do it faster,
then
we're punished by efficiency.
Punished by efficiency, that's dark. We gain speed, convenience, but lose the human element, the skill, the joy of making.
That seems to be the warning, the critical trade-off.
But there's maybe a middle ground. Another idea from August 7th, 2024, suggests using AI to generate just parts of a piece, like maybe just the bridge section of a song.
Okay, like a tool, not a replacement.
Exactly. The analogy used is artists using found objects like newspaper clippings in a collage. You take the AI-generated fragment and integrate it into a larger human-crafted work.
So AI as a new kind of raw material, that feels less threatening maybe, more collaborative.
Potentially. It's still early days, figuring out how to work with these tools without just handing everything over.
Which brings us neatly into our final section, really. How do we navigate all this modern age of fast tech, easy creation, endless streams? What about conformity, pace?
Yeah, the bigger picture, how society adapts.
One observation points out how time itself changes things. As people age and new tech keeps emerging, our intentionality shifts.
How so?
Well, it suggests younger generations maybe find it easier to just go with the flow, follow the trends dictated by the tech, whereas older generations might feel more like the technology is dictating things to us. It references Kevin Kelly's idea of what technology wants, like tech has its own agenda.
That's an interesting generational lens. And it ties into that pressure to conform, right? You mentioned the like button earlier.
Yeah, emerging around 2012, it fundamentally changed why people create online, didn't it? This huge pressure for engagement.
It really did. And the source draws a parallel, maybe a chilling one, to historical forms of conformity. Different mechanisms, same pressure to fit in, maybe.
And it asks, where is this conformity leading us, this tech-driven, engagement-focused conformity?
It feels relentless sometimes, doesn't it? This societal push to constantly invent, constantly share, constantly be on.
Yeah, like you're falling behind if you're not participating, contributing to the noise.
Which is why there's this call in the notes to actively try and slow down technology, not stop it, but slow it down enough to fully absorb it.
To actually understand the downsides.
Exactly, to recognize the bad stuff. The notes point out, we eventually saw the downsides of TV and radio, and now we're seeing it with, quote, millions of podcasts, potentially spreading disinformation alongside the good stuff. We need time to process, to develop critical filters.
It paints the early internet, like 95 to 2000, as this kind of 5-year honeymoon.
A period of pure discovery, curiosity.
Yeah. But then, the narrative goes, social media arrived and became like this adolescent hell-bent on following trends.
Huh.
And it argues that younger generations, especially, feel this intense pressure to follow those trends, to keep up with whatever the algorithm demands.
Which leads directly to this fascinating concept from August 7th, 2024. The idea of being post-interesting.
Post-interesting. What does that even mean?
Okay, so it contrasts two periods. The modernist period, maybe the early internet, where you look things up because you were genuinely interested in them. Deep curiosity.
Right, I remember that. Falling down rabbit holes.
Exactly. But then, around 2006, with social media really taking hold, we shifted into a postmodernist or a post-interesting phase. In this phase, the stuff that gets shared, that gets traction, it needs to be inherently viral. It needs shock value.
Why? Because we're overloaded.
Kind of. Because we become inured to the constant stream. So only the loudest, most shocking, or instantly gratifying stuff cuts through. Genuine, quiet interest gets drowned out.
Wow. Post-interesting. That's bleak.
It is a bit bleak. And the final irony the note points out, if you actually Google the term post-interesting,
what happens?
The search results autocorrect or prioritize results for interesting post. Like, the system itself reinforces the shallow, engagement-focused meaning over the deeper critique.
That perfectly sums it up, doesn't it? Our attention has been subtly, or maybe not so subtly, completely redirected.
Yeah, away from sustained, genuine curiosity towards fleeting performative impact, seeking what appears interesting for a click rather than what is interesting for the mind.
So, wow, we've really covered some ground here, haven't we? Just by looking at this one date, August 7th, across the years. From philosophy and understanding, through how we consume books and music, to how tech is changing creativity and attention itself.
It's been quite a journey through these observations. These little time capsules really do map out the evolution and the tensions of our digital lives.
And running through it all, it feels like there's this central theme, this core tension.
Which is?
Well, it's the incredible promise of technology, right? Its power to connect us, inform us, give us amazing tools.
Juxtaposed, yeah, with its darker side. Its tendency to overwhelm us, to push us towards conformity, maybe even to chip away at our ability to think deeply, to create meaningfully, to just be contemplative. It's a constant balancing act. And we're right in the middle of trying to figure it out.
Absolutely. And thinking about those specific points, that idea of capitulation to efficiency, giving up manual creation because the AI is better, and the shift from valuing physical things to maybe just wanting their essence, it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What kind of future are we actually building?
For our minds, for our relationship with art, with information.
If we always take the easy route, the path of least resistance, the purely virtual experience, sure, we gain efficiency, speed.
But what gets lost? What about that deeper engagement, that slower, maybe more difficult process that historically, seems to have shaped human wisdom, insight, creativity?
Exactly. What's the trade-off? What's gained in efficiency but potentially lost in depth?